Hi, hello, how are you, Amanda? SEINT artist. We're gonna do eye makeup. I think I found my Leo replacement and I'm pretty excited about it. I've been using it for a couple days just to see how I like it, and I like it. We're gonna prep our eyes, SEINT's Shadow Sense. If you don't have it, you need it, go get it. There's a link. I need to get another tube. Mine's about donezo, and I always keep multiples of this one. So my girlfriend sells it. I don't. It is by SEINT. I use the color Candlelight, and it's such a great neutral color, but there's so many to choose from that you can't go wrong. All right, we're gonna use a BK Beauty brush just to press this out. You wanna kind of do this rather quickly because the SEINT is an eyeshadow that's a liquid, so it does set fairly quickly, but because it sets so well, it is a great primer. So it's actually a liquid shadow that I use as a primer, and I haven't found anything that holds up longevity-wise, quality-wise. I haven't found anything out there. All right, so just gonna prep that on, and then I've got all the new eyeshadows all sorted out, so I'm not sharing anything that's not available. And I'm gonna go into my first color, which is just Cupcake, and it's just a base. I like to prep my lids with a good base because powders blend really well on top of powders, and you wanna have a good blending surface. So we're just gonna Bob Ross our lids, and we're just going to bring this down and up, and then I'm gonna go on my shimmer. I have these sorted like a dream. So all my mattes, all my shimmers, and my pressed pigments, which I have been playing with as requested. I've been getting a lot of requests because I don't share about them a lot. All right, I'm gonna go into the shimmer real quick, and I'm gonna go into Sabrina. It's the easiest one to grab. And if you have Drift, use Drift. If you have Rome, use Rome. Either will work. I don't think you need multiples of this one, just whichever one will work. I think the same. I don't think they're that different. Okay, so I like adding a bit of shimmer under my brow. It just gives it a little illusion of a lift. Now I'm gonna go to my pressed pigments, and I am gonna be using the smudge brush. I love this brush, especially for maturing and mature lids because of the density, and you wanna tap when you have a lot of movability on your lids, which I'm starting to get. So the smudge brush has kind of been my go-to lately. I am going to go into the color Santa Fe. Santa Fe is a pressed pigment, and it is my Leo replacement. Leo is gone. I use the heck out of it. I now have so many things to redo. So a lot of videos are coming. I have so many videos already unlisted to be releasing just slowly, not daily, but slowly. All right, we're gonna use the wide end. Both ends are dense. This one's more round. This one is more wide. I'm gonna go into Santa Fe. Now again, these are pressed pigments. So just tap onto them, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna use almost all of this real estate. I have a lot of drooping out here, and I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna press this all where there's visibility above the crease. And this is going to help hide this hoodedness that I have on the outside of my lid, because from the front I look fine, but from the side, it makes my eyes look a little more mature, especially from a side profile. I never like a side profile picture. Anyways, we're gonna pop this on, and look at that lift it already just added. It makes it look like I don't have that heavy droop, but I do. It's such a great camouflaging method. So just stay above your crease, no matter how you're hooded. And again, same thing over here, just using all that real estate, and we're just staying above the crease. I'm gonna flip to this top end here. I need to clean that in, so maybe I won't. But we're just gonna blend this out, staying above, again, above the crease. If I go into the crease or lower, once my eyes are resting, all color's gone. And for this to do its job, which is to hide the hood, I needed to stay above the crease. Okay, so this has been my new go-to favorite. Santa Fe all the way. It almost rhymes. It kind of does rhyme. And then I can go into some of my old favorites. Now, I'm going to a football game today, and so I'm gonna be just doing some of my favorite neutrals, but I needed a Leo replacement, and Santa Fe has checked that box. Okay, I'm gonna go into my favorite brown, which is Oak. I recommend it to everybody who gets color matched. Drift, Clair, and Oak are some of my favorites because they're all great on their own, depending on what you're going for, but together they go really well together. We're gonna go in on this more round end. I'm gonna go into Oak because it's also a great brow fill-in, so it does more than one thing. And I'm gonna put this on the outer corner of my eye, and I'm gonna work that into the base of that brow bone, and have it go in with that Santa Fe, and then I'm just gonna move this with a little wiggle. It is a light touch because I have that movability, or just tap. But I'm gonna bring this all the way across that crease at the base of that brow bone, and I'm gonna fade it into the lid. It's really pretty. Okay, so we're just gonna press this into the outer corner, and I go out past my outer corner, hitting that base of that brow bone into that crease and then across the lid. And again, I have a lot of movability on my lid, so I'm tapping. Otherwise, it doesn't get into all the creases that I have on my lid because I'm 44. And this year, 44 has been a rough year for my maturing skin. All the maturing is really rearing its head. Okay, I'm gonna keep this as a pretty neutral eye color, but because I have brown eyes, I always like a little bit of purple. So I'm gonna go back to my pressed pigments, and I'm gonna go into the color Lilac. Now, I don't really pay attention to what I'm wearing versus what I have on my eyes, because this isn't gonna be quite what you think it is. So we are gonna take that lilac, you're gonna press it with your finger, and I'm just gonna pop this on the mid of the lid just to brighten things up, but it doesn't turn it purple. So sometimes what you see in the tin isn't always what you're gonna see on the lid, but for my maturing eyes, I like a bright lid. So that's why I do that. All right, let's put on a little bit. I also like putting colors together that maybe you wouldn't think about. I also like doing my eyes in a way that's great for everyday wear. I'm just taking what's left of that oak and bringing it down. And then when I do my makeup, I can clean all the under eye up. All right, Maybelline Tattoo Studio. And we're gonna take that and we're gonna water line. So I'm gonna grab a palette and we are just going to push this up and over. And I push into my lashes, so there's a little bit of smokiness and smudging. We're just gonna push that on into, really go in and onto the lid here on this outer quarter. And then I'm gonna hit a little bit of my waterline, just a little bit, not a lot. And then before I move on to the next eye, I'm gonna grab an etch brush, this guy right here, and I'm gonna go into Salem, which is jet black. On the website, I think it looks great. It's jet black. I use it wet and dry, and that's why mine looks like that. And I'm just gonna tap on with the small end here, not wet, just tapping on. Maybe tap on a little more. That's a lot more. Flick off excess, and then I'm gonna smoke out my liner that I just wedged into my lashes. I'm not doing any kind of wing. I'm just making it really thick and soft, which is what, it's soft because it's an eyeshadow, but do you see how it added that little bit of lift to my eye? And I'm only putting it on this outer quarter, and I'm just pressing into, I'm letting the width of the brush be the width of what's on top of my lashes, but I'm letting it smoke into that liner. So, sorry, I have a frog in my throat today. We're gonna go in and we're gonna waterline. Bing, bing, boom, we're going in. Sorry, this is always harder on this eye. Going into those lashes on that outer quarter. Going in on that small, and now remember the width of the etch brush. I tap on both sides, flick off. And when you're messing with black, I'm gonna set this down so it doesn't get in the way. When you're messing with blacks or dark shades, there's always gonna be fallout. Just let that fallout fall, and that's why we're doing our eyes first, and then we clean it all up when we do our face. So we're just smoking into that lash line right here, and then I'm gonna let it smoke into that water. I didn't put it on the water line, so I'm just gonna use the eyeshadow because it transferred really well. I'm gonna clean up over here. But just play with it, but never judge your eyeshadow until the rest of your face is on. Let's talk about mascara because I talk about it every time. And I think I have a good method for mascara, and I feel like I don't talk about it enough. I'm gonna take the small end of the shape brush. I'm gonna clean up what's underneath if there's any fallout. And I'm gonna get my mascara. This is FanFest by Benefit, and it's so good because it has a thick formula, but it also has almost like a waterproof formula, so it's almost a bit dry. Thick and dry kind of formula, because I have really fine lashes. And so I need a mascara that's gonna give me volume because I like the look of volume, but I want some length. And at 44, my lashes are very fine, so the tips are longer than they look. And so my method works with both things. I can do volume and I can do a bit of length. Volume's the most important. So know what you want out of your mascara. If you want help with that, message me. We could talk about mascara. I like just talking about makeup, so there's that. But I love the bristles on this brush. I always swirl the pickup product. I never pump, dries it out faster. We're gonna take this curve and we're gonna go into the base of the lashes and wiggle it, get the lashes into the bristles and then lift. And it doesn't take much to thicken that up. And then I'm gonna go inward, wiggle and lift. Mid, wiggle and a lift. And then outer part again, wiggle and lift up. This just thins it out halfway up, and look at the volume it's adding. It gives the illusion I have eyeliner because I'm adding volume, but I really work on adding and stacking product at the base of my lashes. Base of my lashes. I really need to do my own mascara tutorial, but look, I haven't even worked on length yet. And just going up, if you pull off after you wiggle and pull off, it's gonna add clumping. But if you go up, it just thins it out as it goes up your natural curl. And I don't curl my lashes, it will break them. I have really delicate, I'm 44. Everything's delicate, my bones, my lashes, my skin. So we're just gonna work with what we have, but as it dries, it'll start stacking a little better, but if it starts clumping, stop. I like to really focus on the outer part of my lashes to give a little wing. I'm gonna go in again, I'm gonna swirl, pull it off, and then I'm gonna comb down the tip just to put some product on the tips of my lashes. And then I'm just gonna work on the tips. Just working on the tips. And then I have my volume. Now, it's not wild, it's not crazy, but that's pretty dang good. And then I'm gonna just touch my lower lashes. I don't worry about the wiggling or the volume. I'm just adding a little bit. All right, in, swirl, pull. I'm gonna make this its own tutorial. We're gonna wiggle and pull. Inner part, wiggle, pull. Really get those lashes in. You can feel when they're in. Mid, we're gonna wiggle again. I like the curve on this brush also. Outer part again, wiggle, pull. I do a slow pull, all right? And then we're just gonna start building on top of that product we just put on the base of our lashes. And we're just building volume, building thickness, and giving the illusion of really full lashes and liner. Look at that, look at how nice that's mascara. That's mascara, okay? In, swirl, pull. And then again, we're gonna comb down, down, and then we start building on top of what we just put on the tips of our lashes. And I just do little taps because again, I don't want a lot of clumping. Once you start clumping, you're toast, all right? Get a little on that bottom. There we go, and that's my lashes. Okay, let's go put some makeup on. I'm just gonna post a picture. Makes it easier. It's easier for everybody. It's nice and short and to the point. But that is a nice neutral everyday. I replaced Leo. I feel like I want to punch this up, but I'm gonna wait and put my makeup on before I decide to add more. And I guess you'll see with the picture. So let's take a look at it.